Political leaders, global business executives, and stakeholders will meet in a Swiss ski resort in Davos, Switzerland, for the World Economic Forum to discuss economic and geopolitical matters. This year, global trade, inflation, supply chains, technological change, and wars in the Middle East and Ukraine are expected to top the agenda. The annual meeting will convene leaders from government, business, and civil society to address the state of the world and discuss priorities for the year ahead. Arise News will be at the heart of it all, as we will be bringing you coverage of all the happenings from Davos. Joining us on the show this morning to discuss what to expect from this year's event is Dr. Reuben Abati and Rolake Akinkugbe-Filani. Good morning and good to see you all wrapped up.
Dr. Abati.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ojineka. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow. Greetings from Davos.
Yes.
Very wintry here. Minus 5.5 degrees.
Wow. We can see that.
Very snowy at this end.
But still managing to look very fashionable.
But Dr. Abati is coping well.
I hope so.
Brilliant. Good to see you both. Now, very quickly, it's the first day. A number of things to look forward to, with the theme Rebuilding Trust for this year's World Economic Forum, attracting, like I'd mentioned, world leaders, corporate giants, organizations there. But what's the mood like? And of course, what are we to expect for day one of WF?
Well, at today's opening ceremony, which will be at about 800 GMT plus one, persons, political leaders, business leaders, global leaders, members of civil society from about 100 countries and organizations are being expected. And the theme for this year's conference is Rebuilding Trust, which is essentially a play on the same theme that we had in 2022, which was working together, restoring trust. And rebuilding trust against the background of a fractured, fragmented world, in a world that is urgently in need of cooperation, understanding, and return to basics in terms of transparency, accountability, and coherence. So between today and Friday, we'll have world leaders, across the spectrum that have identified, looking at some of these issues. For example, one, how do you achieve security and cooperation in a fragmented world? How do you create growth and jobs, particularly in the developing countries? Many countries of the world, like Turkey, Colombia, and even developing countries, have challenges with job creation, with high rates of unemployment. And then, of course, three, artificial intelligence, which is going to feature prominently in terms of its service to businesses and communities within the context of the fourth industrial revolution. And then, of course, the issue about climate change, climate adaptation, which is very important to the rest of the world. These are, some of the major themes in terms of conversations that are important in terms of, the future, the next decade for the world. Rolake.
Yes, indeed. Dr. Abati is very right. Rebuilding trust is really about how you ensure all the key global economic players from the public and private sector can work together towards the achievement of some of the global goals that we set out for ourselves. I mean, the World Bank predictions for growth in advanced economies for this year is at 1.4%. For low-income economies, it's at 5.5%, a bit lower than expected. And there's growing concerns around what we call global divergence, this idea that economic disparities and economic growth between advanced economies, emerging markets, and frontier economies continue to diverge. And just on the theme of rebuilding trust, the World Economic Forum recently released a report on the top global risks, one of which Dr. Abati has already pointed out, artificial intelligence and regulation around that. But another interesting risk that was highlighted in their report was increasing socioeconomic polarization, as well as cyberspace risks. And of course, we shouldn't ignore the challenge around environment, nature, and climate. So what we have today really is the opening ceremony, which is taking place at 6 p.m. West West Africa time, and it's going to feature the Crystal Awards, which will honor and recognize people from arts and culture. It's also important to bear in mind that although this is called the World Economic Forum, it brings together stakeholders from other sectors such as arts and culture. And one very prominent African, Francis Kere, the Burkinabe architect, is one of those being honored for the 2024 Crystal Awards by the World Economic Forum. So it's a packed agenda. Later in the week, we'll have some of our very own from Africa also sitting on panels, talking about everything from energy to climate, to critical minerals, to fiscal and monetary stability around the world. Of course, our Vice President, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, is here representing the President of Nigeria at the World Economic Forum. We also have Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala from the World Trade Organization, the DG, as well as the DG of the World Health Organization. So as you can see, it's really a melange of different issues to be deliberated on. And the ultimate outcome is hopefully global world leaders, civil society, the private sector will indeed rebuild trust. But it will be no easy road to rebuilding trust, I tell you, because there's so many pertinent issues facing us around the world.
Okay. Rolake, real quickly, and Dr. Okay, I hear no more questions, so I'll have loved to engage you further, but definitely we'll see a lot of you at this time. Stay padded, Dr. Abati, and stay padded, Rolake. I'm liking your cap, Dr. Abati.
Yes, I am.
I mean, I'm loving your cap and your fashion sense and your glasses. You know, I don't want to say Igoloju. Thank you, Dr. Abati. All right, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate both of you.